What's happening? What's happening? Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another conversation on the couch. I'm glad that you are here. So let me say hello to everybody while you're checking in. XJN, Juan Elias, good to see you. Thanks for being here. It is always a joy and a pleasure to be with you. And tonight we are going to be talking about whether or not you are worth the attention, right? So we're going to spend some time and talk about attention and whether or not you are worth the attention. But while we are checking in, KY30, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So while we're checking in, I just want to say hello to you and just let you know that I'm glad that you're here and I appreciate you being here. The conversations we've been having this week have been pretty tremendous. They've been building on top of each other. And tonight, this is going to be a night really to encourage you in a different kind of way. I felt like sometimes in the community and in our gathering, we can get to a point where we feel, there can be like this feeling of feeling stuck. Sometimes there can be this feeling of discouragement, like things aren't happening, right? Have you ever been in that place where you've been working and trying and attempting things and it feels like you're just knocking your head against the wall? Well, if you feel that way, tonight is really all about encouraging you. So we're talking about attention and whether or not you are worth the attention. And when I speak about attention and whether or not you are worth it, I don't want anyone to get offended. I want you to think about it before thinking about anyone else paying attention to you or investing attention. And I like to change words. You know me, I like to change words and how we use them. And so oftentimes we'll say paying attention. Well, that's great. Paying attention is fantastic. But what if we think about investing, the investment of attention? And so if you think about yourself and the investment of attention that you give yourself, it will give you some indication on how valuable you really think you are, how much worth you really feel like you have even to yourself. Today, earlier, I was out in the pasture and walking around the farm a little bit, and I was looking out at the trees, and this has happened over the last couple of days. I was looking out at the trees and they're brown and they're, the limbs are not, full of leaves or anything like that. But as I was looking at the trees, I started to see something. I started to see some little forms and some little images and a little bit of what looked like color. So I walked up to one of the trees and got pretty close, and I saw that there was some green starting to pop out on the limbs. There were some little buds that were forming. Hey, Joy B, some little buds that were starting to form. And every year around this year, it seems like it's a little early, but every year around this time, I think about this phrase, things are getting green. And the reason I actually first articulated this phrase of things getting green was because there was a young lady who had been at the farm and we were working together, and she was actually working through some depression, working through some of the down points of life. And so she was starting to show up to the farm and work with the horses and things like that. And it was just around this time of the year. And so one day we were there and she was just talking about how discouraged she was. And so I stopped her and we were looking out at the field, and we were looking out at the animals and just at the environment around. And it came to me. I said, I was looking at some of the grass that was starting to sprout up. I said, listen, you've been putting in effort, you've been trying, you've been working on yourself, you've been developing. And though you don't see the end result that you have been envisioning and dreaming of yet, because it hasn't manifested in front of you yet, you haven't seen it develop just yet, that don't get discouraged because things are getting green. I was like, look out at the field. I said, you see the grass and it's starting to sprout up, and the field was all muddy and brown. I said, but if you look out there, if you really look, things are starting to get green. And then we started looking around the farm. We started walking around a little bit, and we were looking at the trees and the willows. And I said, look, these little buds, they're starting to sprout. Things are getting green. And so tonight, I just want to encourage you, because sometimes when we think about ourselves and we think that we haven't achieved or things have been going so wrong, and the season of life that we're in, it just doesn't seem to change, right? Sometimes we can miss out that things are actually getting green, because it doesn't feel that way. Part of the reason it doesn't feel that way is because we're still in the other season, right? We're still in winter right now, but things are getting green and letting us know that spring is on the way. See, sometimes we're caught in between and we're standing in one season, and yet we are looking for and looking to another season, a new season. And it can be discouraging because winter is not my favorite time of the year because it's cold, right? I don't necessarily like being cold, but winter has a job. It has a purpose. It does something in the atmosphere and the environment. Winter is a time when the trees, they had to let go of some things as fall came and winter showed up. The trees were going through process and they had to let stuff go. Nature goes through a process. There are some things that need to decompose. And the reason that the things need to decompose is because when it decomposes, it actually enriches the soil, and that decomposing matter and material, the things that have been released that go into the soil and break down, that stuff is returned back into you because it is helpful for your next season. The relationships that didn't work out, the disappointments in life, the tragic moments, even as you work through that stuff, it is not to destroy you or to end you. But I would say as it starts to break down and as you start to overcome it and as you move through it, that same process is feeding you life. Doesn't always feel that way. I like to point out on the farm that we'll use manure in order to help flowers grow. Manure, poop, the crap. Doesn't seem so ideal in the moment, but we'll use it later on after it has broken down and when it's less hot and intense. When the horses go to the bathroom, it's actually the manure is really hot. And so if you put it on your flower bed or your garden, like immediately, it's too hot. It will actually burn up the flowers. But if you take it like we do and we put it out into this place we call Poop Mountain and it decomposes and it breaks down, and actually in the process when the worms and the bugs and the microorganisms and all that, it's all working through it. After that part is done, that same manure, all that same matter breaks down and it becomes rich. Some people call it black gold. It's rich for the soil, and you plant it and you put it in the soil and you plant some flowers and vegetables and whatnot in it, and that stuff grows amazingly well. Like I'm just a few years into actually gardening and planting plants, but I noticed something. I was like, this manure, this stuff grows great. We don't always feel that way in our lives, though. We go through situations when it's some situations are too hot. You might have just lost a loved one, or you might have just experienced some heartbreak. That's not the time to be thinking. That's not necessarily the season of your life where you're going to be like, la 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 la, everything's great, I'm just skipping along so happy. No, that's not that time. There's a season and a time for everything. And so sometimes there's a time to grieve, there's a time to mourn, there's a time to laugh, there's a time to smile, there's a time to cry, there's a time to rejoice. There are different times. And so I don't want you to feel discouraged because you might be in a particular season when you don't feel like rejoicing. You might not feel like being so happy, or you might. And guess what? It's okay, because that's a part of your season. That's a part of the change that's happening in your life. And that season isn't going to last forever. And you will be brought into a new season and things will get green for you. There will be a time of prosperity in your life if you just continue to keep moving forward. Every relationship, as you grow and you develop, life is becoming richer for you. If you are being intentional about moving forward in life and doing things to help you grow, if you are being intentional about growing and developing and moving into your next season, then you can start anticipating that there is going to be a new season of growth and development. You are not planting seeds of purpose and fulfillment and prosperity in your life only for it to just return with no negative, with no positive impact. That's not what's going to happen. You are not saving yourself and reserving yourself and living as an exclusive and perhaps being away from the crowd and doing the hard thing and the challenging thing. You're not doing that only for it to return with disappointment. you're making an investment in yourself. You're letting some things die and decompose so that something else greater in your life can live. The question is, are you willing to invest some attention into yourself so that you can be encouraged by yourself? So that you can look at yourself and you say, and be able to say to yourself, I see things getting green. I see some growth happening in my life. See, when you start to invest attention, that means you'll start slowing down and you won't just start speaking and having this same old narrative that you've always had, that things won't be the same, that things won't get good for you and things never work out for you. No. If you've been on this track of development and looking and learning and growing, then guess what? You should start slowing down and start to examine your life to see where the growth is. Where are you growing? What's different about you? How are you different now than you were then? What do you think that's different now than it used to be? What people are you around now that you didn't used to be around these people before? Where's the growth in your life? When you start looking for growth, when you start investing attention in yourself, if you've been on this path and you've been working towards it, you'll start to see, you know what, I'm really starting to blossom. I may not be in full bloom, but there are some things about me that are growing. I'm doing things differently than I've ever done. My mindset is different than it's ever been. But that doesn't just happen. We won't just see that. There are times that we have vision and we can see and yet not see. There are times that we can hear things and not even really hear it. Because our hearts are so cold and so hard to actually believing that we can have change, that we're blinded and we're deaf to the opportunities that are actually being presented in life. So I would encourage you, like over the weekend, especially if you get a chance, take some time really to invest in looking at yourself and looking for growth. Like look for where you're growing. Start to ask yourself, what's different about me? Not negative. Start looking for the positive. Like, look, if you want to stand and you know, like this could happen, right? If I stood outside and I just looked at the trees that don't have any leaves and they're, you know, just the atmosphere in the one part of the farm, it's just very brown, right? There are no pops of color like it will be in a few months. Like in a few months, it's going to be super green. Right now, today, it was like really brown. Skies were gray. It just kind of didn't look so happy, right? If I just focus on things not looking so happy, and if I let that somehow like break me down and make me feel depressed and all that stuff, that's not healthy for me. If we do that for our own lives, that's not healthy for us. If we do that to our relationships, that's not healthy for our relationships. Do you realize that if you constantly and continually focus on like what you deem to be what's wrong, what's negative, what is the thing you want to complain about, if you constantly do that, there is no way that you are going to be building yourself up. No way you're going to be building your relationship up. No way you're going to be building up your atmosphere around you. Actually, people after a while probably won't even want to be around you much because they're going to know that you're negative. It's going to be just a part of your aura. There's a negativity. So I would encourage you, like while you are yet breathing, to look out and start looking for the positive change. Right, your person, they get on your nerves. They've been getting on your nerves for a long time, but you're in relationship with them, right? You're connected with them. Start looking for a positive change. And then when you spot it, start encouraging it. Start speaking to that thing, because guess what? When you recognize that something is positive, that means it has impacted you in a positive way. When you begin speaking about what is positive, that means it's going to impact them in a positive way. And now you started something going, because you're making an investment that is going to produce the very thing that you desire. So what do? You start looking for and investing attention into yourself in such a way that produces life. I don't even, like, we're not going to talk about this long. This is it. I'm wrapping it up, because it's about you deciding what it is that you want to see in your life. What do you want? What do you value? And then how are you going to move into it? How are you going to see something if you don't choose to look for something? Yeah, sure, you might stumble across it every now and then. But if you start intentionally looking for signs of change, signs of transformation, signs of growth, signs of prosperity, like, guess what? You're going to start finding them, because seek and you will find. So many of us are just seeking after the negative. We're looking for the reason to be offended. We're looking for the next argument. We're looking for the moment of contention. And then when it starts to happen, then we're like, oh, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I knew this was going to happen. I knew that we were going to have an argument tonight. I knew things weren't going to work out. I knew I wasn't going to get the job. I knew my business was going to fail. I knew. Everything that you know is negative, because you are so intimately connected with the negative that that's the only thing that can be produced. Knowing, like we talked about yesterday, is a matter of intimacy. When you know something, that means you have closed the gap between unknowing and knowledge. You've closed it so that you've become intimately familiar with that thing. So the question is, why not start a new intimate romance? Why not start a new intimate relationship with something else in your life that produces life? Why not produce a more intimate level of conversation with love and joy? You can do that. You can make a different choice, but it's all up to you. So tonight, I just want to encourage you to look at yourself and decide. Actually, maybe, articulate it out loud. Like, am I worth investing attention in? Am I worth the investment of positive attention? Am I worth looking at that way? And if you say you are, then you set yourself on a path to begin doing it. So I appreciate you for being here. Now it's all up to you to go out, live your life, decide whether or not you want to invest that kind of attention in yourself. And if you do it. And then realize that just like the trees are changing right now, the seasons are changing, realize that you are in a moment where you are moving out of one season and you're moving into a new season, and things are getting green. Now you can go ahead and just say that to yourself as encouragement. You might not always see it, but just start saying it. Say, hey, just want to remind you, talking to yourself, things are getting green. It won't always be like this. Things are turning around for me. Things are looking up. My efforts are going to produce much life. What I'm doing right now is going to produce life. This is not the end. It doesn't end in disaster this time for me. Things are getting green. Now, I know I've had plenty of heartbreak, but that's not going to be my forever story. Things are getting green for me. My business has been struggling, but I've been working on it and I've been learning. I've been exposing myself to new people so I can gather new information. Things are getting green for me. Things are going to turn around for me. I've been struggling with my health, but I've been waking up and I've been going for a walk, or I've been hitting the gym, or I'm changing my diet up and I'm being more aware and I'm making some better, healthier decisions. Things are getting green for me. I'm distancing myself from people that are always putting me down, because I'm tired of my mind being constantly beat up by them. I want something fresh and new. I want a different outlook on life. Things are getting green for me. Such a simple phrase. Things are getting green. But you get to own that. You get to take that. You get to hold that. You get to encourage yourself with that. And just the more you just say it and the more you begin looking, don't just say it, but say it and then look. Look into your life for any sign. I'm telling you, when I saw that tree today, that little bit of green, it was just a tiny little bit of green. And I saw it and I said, oh, spring is coming. Spring is almost here. I got it. I was happy because I'm like, yes, it's about to get warm. Now we'll go through another season. Mud season is coming. But you know what? I'd rather have mud season than snow season. I'd rather have mud season than 21-degree season or whatever it's going to be tonight. I'd rather have mud season than that. I'm like, yes, spring is coming. Things are getting green. So listen, you all have a wonderful night. Let me pray for you, please. Hang out, stay. Lord, thank you for each and every person that is here. Thank you for the opportunity, for their presence to be a blessing to me. And I pray that I've been a blessing to them. I pray for those who have been discouraged and heartbroken and that have wanted to give up and thought that this season of whatever it has been is going to be an eternal season. I pray that tonight somebody would just be encouraged that things are changing and that they would believe and see and look for the signs that things are getting green. I pray that someone would have joy restored and that their life would begin to show that greenness, that prosperity, that things are happening, that they're not just wasting their time, but that they're making an investment in themselves. And investments take time to develop, to nurture, to mature. And so I pray that the person who has been working so diligently, staying up late, waking up early, making changes, trying to learn some new things, getting some help, getting coaching. I pray for those people that are doing the things, doing the right things, moving in the right direction. I pray that there would be some glimmers of hope in their life, like right now, like today, before they go to sleep. I pray that many someones would see the signs of life and that they would rest tonight with some encouragement on their heart. I pray for them that their heart and their will, that they don't give up, that they would stick with this path that they're on that has been growing them and helping them. I pray that they would see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a train moving head on towards them. I pray that they would just have hope, that it would not be robbed from them by the circumstances and situations of life, but that in this moment tonight, something that was said would be encouragement to them. I pray for them that are here live, those that are part of Team Replay. I pray for them that each and every one of our lives would be moving to a place of growth and development, prosperity, life, and life more abundantly. I pray a wonderful weekend for each and every person. I pray that you would encamp angels around them to keep them safe from all harm and danger, whether it be seen or unseen. Give them peace, whoever may need it tonight. Give them just a double portion of peace. Let it rest upon them. Give them joy. Restore happiness. Mend the broken heart. Comfort those that are in a place of sorrow. Let them be still and know that you are God. We thank you in advance for all the many wonderful testimonies and stories and transformations that will take place because we are living with an intentional approach to life. Thank you for the blessings. Thank you for the restoration. Thank you for the renewal. Thank you for your spirit of refreshing that is covering us all even right now, building us up so that we can be our most fulfilled self. I pray that the season of full blossom would come soon and be amazing and wonderful. Thank you, Lord, in advance. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. All right, everybody, have a very wonderful rest of your evening or day or whatever time it is and you're watching this. Enjoy it all. I love you much. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2 P's, A-R-D, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. See ya.